Good morning. Today we are going to talk about building a rain barrel. A rain barrel to help you save money on watering your yard, your plants, and then also even to save our water quality. We're going to talk a little bit about that as we do it. And there are a lot of different models to make, but today we are going to make an easy version for you to install and maintain, because there's no point in having a new tool if it's not going to be easy for you to use. So the first step we do is we get a 55-gallon barrel that we're going to use. This will fill up quickly in a large rain, but it can still save you that extra 55 gallons of water. So to get it started, we have to make a way first for our water to get into. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to cut a pattern in the top of our barrel. So what we do is we have a pattern, and it's based on the basket system that we're going to put on top of here. So the most important tool you're going to need first of all is your Sharpie, because you want to make sure and draw your pattern outline. So on this one, what we did is we've drawn our 9-inch pattern, because that's going to fit for our 9-inch water basket. And the main thing we want to make sure when you're drawing your pattern is that it's going to fit the bottom of your packet, not the inside of your basket, because you want it to fit snug. Because if you go from the inside, it's going to be too wide and your basket will fall through. So what we did here is we actually used it. We're going to use a jigsaw to cut out our square, because that's the saw we have available right now. But to get it started, we needed to make what we call some cheater holes with our drill. So we will drill 4 small holes in the 4 corners, so then we can put our jigsaw in that hole, take our line across, and then we can turn it and come back around as we go through, and then pull it out as we need to and come back around. And you can always be turning your barrel as you do this. And then voila, you have your opening.
And this is, as you said, where the screen
and the screened basket is going to go.
Okay.
You would hand me the basket. I will show you where that's going to go.
Awesome.
So we can make sure that I cut our hole to the right size.
Okay.
So voila, our basket fits in there nice and tight.
And you want it to be in there nice and snug, right?
Mm-hmm. You want it to be in there because this is where your water is going to enter your barrel, and you want to make sure that force isn't going to bounce it out, or also is not going to push your basket in.
Okay.
So that is 2 big things we want to make sure. And then we'll talk a little bit more about this window screen when we finish putting it together at the end.
Awesome.
Because those are the 2 combined efforts. Now we have a way for our water to get in, but now we need to make 2 ways for the water to get out. The first thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the overflow. Because like I said, these barrels will hold 55-gallon barrels, but if it comes off of your roof line, an average 1/2-inch rain will more than fill this up. So we want to make sure that we have a way to overflow, just like your downspouts do currently, to move that water out. So what we're going to put in is what we call an overflow. And on our overflow, what we do is we turn our barrels, and because we want to keep as much water in as possible, we're just going to move down and put our overflow in just about 3 inches down from the top of our lip of our barrel. And with that, we're going to use our drill. And for our overflow, to make it, again, universal, easy to use, most people have an old garden hose laying around. So what we want to do is we want to make that so that you can just use some of that old garden hose. So to make a 3-inch hose bit is what the universal is. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill a hole using a 1-inch paddle bit. You can use a circular bit, or if you have a fancy other bit, there's several other, but the paddle bit is the most affordable to use, and it will work on the plastic barrel. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill our hole, and then
this is where it helps to have 2 hands
to hold the barrel steady, especially if you have wind like we have today. If it and there is one of those things to test to make sure that your bit is in tight, because I did not. So see, even though we built lots and lots of these, it doesn't mean you aren't going to forget something sometimes. So this bit is a little bit dull, so sometimes it takes just a little bit of patience with it. We're almost there. There we go.
And you probably can't tell from the video, but Sherry is using a fair amount of pressure behind that drill, behind that bit, to make sure that hole does go in right perpendicular to the side of that barrel from the top, making sure that hole is going to hold, go in the direction we want it to, be the right size, and then take the fixtures that are going to allow you to use that garden hose as that overflow.
Perfect, yes, because you want to make sure that you're almost standing directly over it so that you are straight up and down, because if you come at it at an angle, you will have a gap, and then you'll have to do some extra repair work around that to make sure it's tight. But if that happens, that's okay, because there are fixes you can use. You can use extra silicone, you can use extra plumbing tape, or things like that. So now we have our overflow piece. So there are a variety of pieces you can get. Most of the ones we get are the nipples you can get from sprinkler systems. You can get longer ones, you can get shorter ones. For this one, we're going to put in one of the shorter ones. Again, this is another one of those things where you have to be right on top of it almost and put that force, that pressure down, because what you're doing is these are not threaded, so you're creating the thread between your piece, your overflow piece, and the barrel itself. So it is, that plastic is molding to the overflow piece, so it's going to make that really nice tight seal. But again, you can always add that silicone around it just for a little bit of extra support and extra comfort, which is not a bad idea. So that's what we're going to grab right now.
And you were telling me you don't want to go overboard on the silicone, Sherry. You want to talk a little bit about why that might be?
If you get too much on there, you think about it, it's actually going to make it so that it's going to kind of peel. And the whole point is to make that tight seal. And if you get too much, then it comes off and it's going to crack and peel as the weather changes. So just that little bit on there will make it nice tightness, and it will make a nice adhesive between the overflow and the barrel itself.
Kind of like you're applying chapstick. You don't want it to be globbed on, but you do want enough that makes a nice light coating.
Yes, and aesthetics is another way to look at it too. So you've got that aesthetics going there too.
So now we've got our spout or overflow here.
And then we have our opening where it's going to go in. And now we need to go the main way that we're going to get our water out.
The whole point of using it, right?
The whole point of it is too, is when you're getting ready to put in your spigot and your overflow, whichever one you chose to do first, is you want to make sure that overflow is going to the right direction. Either it's going to the left or the right. And you want to look at where you're going to put the barrel, because that's where your natural downspouts are. This is our downspout, and this is where our guttering's coming down. We don't want our overflow to go into our shed. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn it so that we make sure our overflow is going naturally out onto the grass and out into our natural drainage way. So we're going to turn that. So that means our barrel, our spigot is going to go 90 degrees from this overflow. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our barrel in, and we're going to, it rolls, so we just want to make sure that we have it. You kind of look again.
And we'll roll back just so you can see there is the overflow that we just drilled in. So that's why we're rolling that away from us, because we want this to be at that 90 degrees.
So what we're going to do, again, we're going to kind of come down to the middle. And on most of these barrels, there is a nice little line right here at the bottom that kind of shows the level. And you want to put your spigot in just above that. You want to make sure you can get as much of the water out of it, but you don't want it too close to the bottom that it kind of is hard then to get out to itself. So doing it right on that line usually is where I kind of like to go.
You still want gravity working for you, right?
Because it's all a gravity system. So again, straight over it, straight down, and here we go. have a little bit of plastic in there. You can pull it out if you want to, but it will also thread in there with it.
As you're threading in your spigot, it will kind of work itself out. And again, I want to stress, Sherry is putting a lot of pressure behind that drill when she's drilling down. Again, keeping that hole straight and narrow and making it exactly the size we want. Very important for the longevity of your rain barrel.
And it's also because if you don't put pressure on it, that drill is going to bounce and you're going to have a whole bunch of little drill holes that you didn't really want.
You don't want that, definitely for aesthetics too. And so this is the one that can be a little more tricky. You do have the metal fixture here, so it can fight us a little bit, especially, you know, this is a cooler day in December. Usually when the barrels are a little warmer, they're a little more pliable, you would say, yes. So we got the weather working against us, but that's okay. You know, we kind of talked before we started that, oh, maybe we want to cheat and warm it up inside first, and you know, we kind of thought, you know what, we actually want to show the process and show, hey, maybe we have some difficulties with this. It's okay. Even the experts, this can be a little bit of a challenging part, but actually I think we got the thread really well on this one this time. And just find your groove. If it starts going in a little bit sideways, it's really kind of good to just keep on going rather than pull it out, take it out, retry, take it out, retry. You only get so many chances to do it right before the threading is just too far gone.
And you have to push it. And one thing is too, is on these, again, I forgot to point out, we use 3/4 inch. So this is what we call it. When you go buy them at the hardware store, Home Depot or Lowe's, they're called boiler drains. And we use 3/4 and 3/4. So it's 3/4 thread that we're putting into the barrel, inch, and 3/4 spigot. Again, universal to that garden hose.
And this is nothing I have to buy specifically from a specialty store for rain barrel. This is all I can get all this at Home Depot.
Home Depot or any of your major box stores,
Local
and even
hardware.
a lot of your local hardware stores. The only thing is sometimes these are out of stock, but you can find them. And you have these twist versions, and we also have our regular 3/4 inch ones that you can get. This time, this is what we had in stock, so this is what we're using today. So a spigot, the main thing is you want to make sure that the opening here is universal to that garden hose, because you want to be able to attach your hose to it and not have to try and find a specialty hose. Because the whole point is to make it again so it's usable, it's easy to use, and easy to maintain.
And affordable, cost effective. We want it to be as accessible to everyone as possible.
Yes, and so now we officially have our 2 ways to get water out and our way to get water in. And now we're going to show how to put our basket in real quick with the screen.
basket.
And I'm going to go back to that basket and screen.
Don't need your sticker in your
No.
basket.
No.
We're going to take that out.
And these are water plant baskets. Again, you can find these at any of your big box stores or sometimes your local hardware stores or garden centers. Now, what we're going to do on top of it, though, is our whole point is we want to get the water in but keep the debris out. So our baskets are going to keep a lot of the larger debris, but we also want to keep that smaller debris out. So we use a fiberglass window screen. And fiberglass, so that way it doesn't rust on you and it lasts longer in the weather. So what we do is we wrap it around here, the basket, and what we do is we push it in a little ways. We don't want it to go flat all the way into the basket, but most of the way in. Yep. Again, it's cold, so this window screen doesn't want to kind of be pliable. Okay, and then what we do is we push it down in there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to add that flexi piece to your drain, and it's going to come right down in here, and it's going to set in here. So then you're all set. So your rain barrel is against
Your structure or your gutter system here.
and then you're going to have a piece that comes right into here, and the water's going to flow right into this basket, and it's going to flow through the screen and into the basket, and you're going to have a viable water source to water in your garden, ground, and then also your yard, and have it usable for that. Now, remember, it's not potable though.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, maybe we should show them what one looks like installed. Let's head over to the Master Gardener's rain barrel system here on site at the Ag Hall of Fame, and we can show you what one looks like all souped up. Are we ready?
I think we're ready to go.
Alrighty.
All right, now back to installing your rain barrel. As you can see, this barrel has been well loved for a while. This rain barrel has been out here for at least 5 years. It was installed out here off of the Master Gardener shed to help them get some water, to help water their plants, save some money on water, and also at the same time protect from getting erosion around their garden. So it's been kind of beneficial. So they had the gunners, and this is the flexi piece they use to add to it. And as you can see, they have their overflow.
And this would be the same you would use even if you did it on your own house or anything like that. Do I have that right?
Yes, you would use this flexi piece, and what it is you would actually, instead of attach it to the top of your gutter like this is, because it's just so short and the way it's big, you would attach it actually to this downspout that's coming down. And you would put it in there a max weight. Because one of the things you're going to see here is how this is raised. Again, we're working on gravity. So when it comes to installing them, for safety's sake, I always say remember 12 by 12. You want at least 12 inches up from your foundation, up high, so it works on gravity, and usually 12 inches out from your foundation. And on this, you're going to see it's a little bit more than 12 inches, but it works just perfectly for them, because more than 12 works fine, because you just want to keep that.
But at least 12, right?
But at least 12. Because these are 450 pounds when they're full, and so you don't want all that weight leaning onto your foundation. The whole point is to keep water away from it. So we're going to see how this one has been working. You can see that the overflow is still attached. This one was painted at one time. It was a kid's project, and you can talk about that. You can primer them with some primer for plastic, and then you can paint over it with some of the plastic paint, spray paint them to match either your house or to make a design on it.
A lot of the HOAs require they be the same color as your house, so you most definitely can paint them, and they do hold the stand of time pretty well. But as we said, this has been upwards of 5 years, did we decide?
And this one wasn't really coated correctly when we first did it. We were experimenting when we were doing this one. Some kids from one of the community gardens had painted it. So you're going to see though here, we do have our basket, and again, this basket has been out here for a long time. But the main thing I want to show you is the screen, which kind of has been beat up a little bit. But see how it's holding all of this debris?
So that doesn't go in your rain barrel and into your water.
Right. Because it's not going to stop anything coming off of the roof into down the drains. Because remember, especially when you have composite roofs like this, anything on it is going to come down from here, and they naturally break down, so you get that little gravel and stuff in here. So what we're going to go ahead and do though today is we're going to clean this out for them before we put it back in, and then just set it back in. But the main thing is too is then if you have to, then you can get to that and you can get in here, you can clean this barrel out if you need to, if some of that you do have a failure or anything like that. And it's easy to do with these, so you can just swoosh them out a little bit with your hose, or even you can just take a nice mop and go inside of there, one of those small Dollar Tree mops. I won't use my joke that I usually use. You know, we always say, you know, if you have a small child that needs an extra job, you can use that. But also then here you can see we have our spigot, and on this one we have our quarter turn spigot, and it is actually open right now, and that is because it is winter, so we don't want our water to freeze inside of our spigot, and so that it will last forever. So that's why this barrel has lasted, is because of that, keeping that spigot open in the wintertime. So just like our outside faucets, we take off our hoses, we don't want that frost to build up inside of there.
And again, it's winter, everybody, obviously. This is not a problem right now, but we do talk a lot about standing water and mosquitoes and other insects that like to nest in the standing water. Is that a concern with rain barrels? How would I go about preventing that? Or
that's another where our screen and our basket come into play, because it usually prevents them entering them. But if you do live in an area you you have a lot of them or you have a lot of water by you or you're just concerned about it, there's a really easy quick fix for that. And that is just like a quick tablespoon of vegetable oil.
Just plain vegetable oil from the kitchen? Okay.
From your kitchen.
Awesome.
You know, and that way it's food safe, it's food, you know, you're not having to worry about anything else. But that just makes a coating on top of the water so those eggs can't hatch. It's kind of one of those neat tricks. If you really want to, you can buy those. They do sell mosquito things you can drop in your barrel. But I kind of choose to go for the vegetable oil because
something you already have at home.
you have it home and you don't have to worry about it.
Awesome.
Okay. And you're going to see here too, one of the things too I wanted to point out too is when we talked about that 12 and 12 is you want to use, an easy way to use is to use our cinder blocks to put it up with. Some people may use pallet systems, you can do that too. The main key though to doing this is you can see that there's a whole bunch of gravel down here and we want to use that and then we want to use our level to make our ground level so that when we set those blocks on there, again, so our rain barrel stays level because again, when it's full, it's 450 pounds.
There's no adjusting it at 450 pounds.
Or once it gets in there. And so we want to keep it there and level and so that pressure again is coming down and is not going to cause any problems for your foundation.
I think.
Okay.
Gosh, that's a lot of information, but it's pretty easy to get it set up once you have it.
And you can leave them out. Like I said, you can leave them out for winter, or some people do take them down and put them away.
Okay.
And if you do that, then you would just kind of there's a little flip valve that you can put onto your gutter so that you can just take that flexi piece off and put your gutter straight back down to your splash pad.
Okay, awesome. Well, we hope this was very helpful for everyone watching and you learned how to install and create your own rain barrel to use in your outdoor spaces, homes, gardens, anywhere that you can take advantage of the rainfall harvest. If you have any questions or want to learn more, please reach out to us here at the Wyandotte County Conservation District. Otherwise, thanks for listening and have a great rest of your day.
See you later. Safe water saving.